Hello friends, it's Gina K Release Day, and I had the pleasure of working with the beautiful Sweeter With You stamp set designed by Lisa Hetrick. I love this because it has peaches on it, and I love peaches, and it has some great sentiments, some lovely flowers, and it's just a beautiful stamp set. Today I'm creating a quick and easy card that anybody can make, and I can't wait to share it with you. First off, let's get to stamping our background. And I am going to use the flower stamps to do that. Instead of loading them up on my MISTI, I'm using the mat of my MISTI, but I'm using acrylic blocks for my flowers. I'm stamping the larger flower in Peach Bellini, and the smaller flower I will stamp with sweet corn. Now you want to make sure that when you are stamping a pattern onto your background, you are rotating the flower whenever you stamp. I like to think of it as making triangles with the image, or diamonds here in this case, and then I will fill in the gaps with my second flower. You also want to make sure that you go off of the edge of your cardstock to make it look more realistic, like pattern paper. I'm adding one more flower here for the Peach Bellini before I move on to sweet corn for the smaller flower. I really wanted to add a little tiny touch of yellow of warmth on the background of this card. I really think that it adds to the happiness, the cheerfulness of the card. I'm not exactly sure what color peach flowers are, but in my mind, they're going to be a whitish, yellowish color. So we'll go with that. The last one I'm going to add is up here at the top, and then my background is stamped. The next thing I want to add is some gold metallic on here, and I'm just using a really old liquid metal product that I've had for a while, and I'm just tapping it on with a paintbrush. This will have to dry thoroughly before I do anything else, which is why I did this step first, but it adds just a little bit of that metallic sparkle on there. Next, I'm going to stamp my peach, and I'm using Gina K Designs Amalgam Ink in Whisper first. Now, I like to use this Whisper first because it's less likely that your alcohol markers, which I'm using Olo markers today, will bleed into that color. I am starting off with Orange 2.0, and then I'm going to move to Orange 2.2 to give it just that little bit of a darker color. Now I want to make sure that the lighter color stays on the roundest part of the peach, so I'm not touching that round area of the 2.0. Next, I'm going to move to Orange 2.3, and that is going to be the darkest color of the peach, just on the back side of those edges. Now, this is a really great orange color because it's a peachy orange, so I highly recommend this colorway for the peaches, but obviously you can color the peaches any way you want. I'm going to go back over that darker color with the 2.2 again to kind of blend that in, make that medium color a little bit more pronounced there in the center and down the curve of the peach. And then I'm going to go back to the Orange 2.0 and just kind of blend it all together. I really find that going back with that lighter color in the end just kind of helps to soften all of those edges. Now, I haven't moved my stamp, but I have left my paper on the corner of my MISTI. So my stamp has stayed on my MISTI door. My paper, I've just been coloring it here on the corner. You could always take it off and then put it back in the corner of the MISTI. But once I'm done with my Olo marker coloring, I am going to ink up my stamp again in a dark ink. And this is the Amalgam Ink in Obsidian, and I'm going to stamp that on top. So now I know I have that nice dark outline, but I'm not going to get any smudges. I'm going to do the exact same thing with my stem and my leaves. I'm stamping this with Amalgam Ink in Whisper first, and then I'm going to color. For my colors on this one, I'm using yellow green 2.1, yellow green 2.3, and yellow green 2.5. I like this kind of fresh green color that really pops against the peachy colors of the orange. It looks really nice. So I'm going to do an overall color with the yellow green 2.1. That darkest piece in there is going to be 2.5, and then I'm going to use 2.3 around those edges. For my stem, I'm going to use orange 2.5, just slightly, not adding any shading there because it's quite thin. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp again with the amalgam ink in Obsidian. And so I have that nice dark outline, and I think it looks just lovely. Now, I don't currently have the dies for the set, but I do have some great scissors, so I'm just fussy cutting this out. If you decide to only buy the stamp for the set, it's a very easy one to fussy cut, so you can save some money that way, but know that it also comes in a bundle, and I have both of those products linked in my video description below. I just love the way this looks when it's cut out with that nice white border. It is so pretty. Next up, I have a piece of craft cardstock, and that is 1.5 inches wide. Now I'm grabbing the gingham embossing folder from Gina K Designs because I love this texture, but I think it is also very appropriate to use with the peach. So I ran that through my Platinum 6 machine, and I have this lovely textured border that I'm going to add to my card front. And this is also going to help draw your eye to the peach, and it's going to kind of ground the sentiment as well. I just like the way that looks. I love the natural brown color of the craft against the peach too. So I do need to stamp my sentiment. I'm grabbing Life is Sweeter with You and a piece of scrap paper. I just want to use the heavyweight, the 110 pound, and I have a scrap piece here that I was using for my peaches earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and place this in my Misty. And again, I'm going to use the amalgam ink in Obsidian here to get that nice dark sentiment so that it stands out from the rest of the card front. Again, I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut this out. There is a die set for this, so be sure to check out that link in my video description, but again, easy enough to fussy cut. I'm using my Gina K Designs tape runner to add this craft border to my card front. And then I am going to do a little bit of trimming because I really want that nice 1/8 of an inch on all sides when it sits on my card front. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and just give that a trim. By just having that 1/8 of an inch from the white folded card, it just adds a little bit of sophistication to it. There's something about having that little white edge around that I really like. And so I do this very often. I'm going to use a lower loft foam adhesive just so it's not standing up too much, because I also want to pop up my peach and my sentiment as well. So I'm just going to add this. This is foam adhesive from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. And I'm going to put that on each side, on the bottom, top, and in the center. Now I just have to pull off the backers, and I'm going to be brave here and not add any liquid adhesive. I'm just going to go for it. Just kind of place it down ever so slowly to make sure it's nice and even, and I got it on the first try. So now it's time for me to place my peach right there on that line, and I like the way that it intersects that craft cardstock there. So just adding some foam adhesive here on the back of my peach. Before I get that on my card front. I'm doing exactly the same with my sentiment, just adding one strip of foam adhesive before I add it just to the upper right corner of my card, just above the peach. And I really like the fact that the S is kind of touching that craft cardstock as well. I also love the way that these both pop out on the card front. So to finish up, I'm using one of my favorite sequins right now, and it really matches the colors on this card. It's Spellbinder's Aura sequin mix, and just a really pretty peachy, yellowy color, and I think it's perfect for this card front. So I'm going to go ahead and use some Artiste craft glue from scrapbook.com to glue these sequins on. Just 5 is all that this card needs. And that is my finished card. Thanks so much for joining me as I use the brand new Sweeter With You stamp designed by Lisa Hetrick, just released from Gina K Designs for July 2024. I hope you guys enjoyed this card. I have more ideas using these sweet peaches, and not all of them will be using alcohol markers. So I hope you'll subscribe to see more. Be sure to shop all of the products that you've seen in this video at the video details box below. Thanks so much for watching, and happy creating.